And the foundation of understanding our power through our design is in understanding our type, our aura types. And it's powerful information because it's the foundation of how we interact with each other and the quantum field. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, human design specialist.
And I'm Haley, the human design newbie. Listen in as we explore how leaning into your authentic self is your ultimate path to success. Welcome to the Human Design Hive podcast. Let's get into it.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's been having a lovely week. It's been, again, another not action-packed, but just a lot going on still. As you know, the wedding's coming up. We are now 6 days away from the big event, and it's really starting to close in. But we're very excited. Haley's very busy, so you have me to yourself again today. Hopefully that's not a bad thing. But I also just wanted to take the opportunity to personally thank everyone out there for listening. I have been doing this podcast now for about 8 months, and I can't believe it's been that long. I've just been plugging along 1 week at a time, having a good time. And I am really starting to see the momentum there with the podcast as each episode is released. I'm seeing the numbers go up. I'm seeing that people are listening, they're downloading, and it's super, super exciting because that means that whatever we're doing here, whatever we're talking about is resonating with you. And I'm really happy about that because I feel so strongly and passionately about bringing this information specifically about human design to the world. But really, as we progress and as we go along, just a lot of things I've learned along the way that have helped me in my own evolution and my own journey, which I hate using those words, journey, but that's what it is. And things that have helped me get to where I am, which, you know, none of us are ever in a place, I believe, of complete, I don't know, completeness, meaning we're here to learn and grow and evolve. And it's an ongoing process. It's always occurring. And I've been thinking a lot lately about the image of a spiral, that the journey in life is more of this spiral or an up and down, almost like the sine wave, and that it's not this straight path up. I mean, we are always hopefully expanding and growing and leveling up, but there's always going to be, you know, several steps forward, maybe a step back. Maybe when we first start out on looking at ourselves and becoming aware of ourselves and where our power lies, we may only take one step forward and then 5 steps back. But as time goes on, you find that you can make a little more forward progress. There may be some setbacks, there may be some distractions, there may be some resistance, but overall, you are slowly gaining momentum forward, progressing forward, leveling up. And so that's where I feel I can help you, is that I've been trying to do that really intentionally for the past going on 18, almost 20 years. And it has been a slow slog sometimes. Sometimes there are these bursts of, you know, up-leveling, of moving forward and really gaining new awareness. But a lot of times there's a little forward, a little back, a little forward, a little back. And that's okay. And I just hope that through showing you this, or, well, I guess showing you, even though this is a podcast, illuminating for you this system and how it can help you maybe put a little more speed in that process, not to rush through it. There's no rushing healing, but to help you identify where your strength, where your power is, where your gifts are, where maybe the things are holding you back or things that aren't yours that you can let go of, how to help identify shadows, work with the shadows, help them or have them help you turn those shadows into your strengths, into your gifts. And, just, I think that's what human design does, is it just shows you what's possible. It shows you what you're here for, and it's up to you to look at it. It's up to you to work with it, observe it, or experiment with it, see what works, what doesn't, see how it helps. I mean, that's all we can all do, right? Is just keep trying, see what helps. And I think this system in particular does that, along with all the other tools I've picked up along the way, which we will also be talking about eventually. But I've been conferring with my co-host about, what what she's interested in learning about. And so that's been my biggest challenge on coming up with some of these topics, is what can I talk about on my own? What do I want to share with Haley specifically? So I hope that today's episode is helpful to you, and maybe one day she'll come back and listen to it. Because we are going to talk about your power through your type. And power is a word that, unfortunately, I think we have gotten a little confused about in our culture. Quite often, power is seen as something that dominates someone else. At least, I think, here in not only our country, but in the whole patriarchal system, it is very much power equals domination over someone else. And first of all, let's change that definition. I think power is empowering, which is just aligning to your own, we're talking about individual power, aligning to your own energy, your own wants, needs, and really power comes from valuing yourself. Okay. And so our designs make us powerful in our own way. They don't make us powerful. They show us that we are powerful in our own way. And each of us is uniquely powerful. And the foundation of understanding our power through our design is in understanding our type, our aura types. And it's powerful information because it's the foundation of how we interact with each other and the quantum field. And so we have these strategies, we're encoded with these strategies of how to interact, and where we're also given clues to know when we're not necessarily in alignment, when we're not maybe using our energy types, our auras correctly. And in traditional human design, that talks a lot about the not self. You hear that term a lot, and I know I've probably used it too, because it works. But I think it's also important to maybe put the focus not so much on the not self, but more what is the emotional theme of each type. Because not self behavior by type is when you hear them talking about the anger, the frustration. This is also the emotional themes. They kind of overlap, intertwine when it comes to type. So when we understand the way our aura types work for us, and that it is the basis of how the rest of our design plays out, all the intricacies of our design play out. When we understand the basis of our type and the spiritual role that our types play, that makes us more powerful in our foundation, in our design. Because ultimately, when you're first working with human design, understanding your type, strategy, and then authority are really some of the most impactful simple and effective ways to start changing how you interact in the world and being able to fully embody your design. Because each of us is given a type by, when we're born. So it means that everything that's in the chart is meant to play out through using our strategies and understanding when we get off course so that we can get back to using our strategy and get back into alignment. And in that alignment piece is where our true power lies, because the energy can flow and we can express what it is we were given to express. Because point being, if you're a projector and you're acting like a generator or a manifester, if you're out there trying to make things happen and doing all the things, it's a misuse of your energy and it's disempowering to your energy. So we're going to look at each type and really understand what it means for each type to own their power. So let's get started with the manifestor. Oh, I want to make one other quick show note here. I am recording with other people in the house today, and I know my husband is working on a project, and in true manifesting generator style, he comes and goes very quickly. I have myself cordoned off in my home office studio here, but I apologize. I will do my best to edit out any distracting noises in the background, but please forgive me if you hear something here and there or dog bark, because this is just life and I'm just putting this together as is. So here we go. Okay, so the manifester. Now, the role here for the manifester is to take divine inspiration into action. Remember that they have their own internal nonverbal creative flow. They are directly tapped into source, the muse, whatever you want to call it. And so they are designed to really be tapped into that and know when the right time is to bring these ideas into action. They are the initiating force on the planet that gives the rest of us something to respond to or engage with. So the emotional theme here for the manifestor type is anger, but anger is sometimes not so much misunderstood as the word, but it doesn't quite sum up what's happening. So if you think about the manifestor type, they being directly connected to source, that's it's a tremendous amount of energy that they carry. It's almost like it starts to build. They have that tapped into source energy. And then when they feel the internal click of when it's the right time to act, they just need to get into action. And if they haven't been following their strategy of informing those around them of what they feel might be coming or what they would like to do or what it is they're initiating, they can quite often be interrupted. And when that interruption happens, that's where the anger comes from. But really, it's this amount of energy that needs to be directed into action. And if it gets interrupted, it has to go somewhere, like lightning does. When it has to be expressed, it has to get out there, and it's a lot of energy, and so it can be misconstrued as anger. Does that make sense? Which I don't have Haley to bounce off of me right now, but it makes sense in my head. But basically, it is this interruption of energy, and it creates this big emotional response, which often is felt as anger, or expressed as anger. And so to keep the peace in their lives, manifestors, especially women, female manifestors, have possibly learned to shut down their power because of conditioning. They probably feel very powerful in their own right, and they understand that they're powerful, but they've also seen the effects of what happens when this power comes up against others. However, let's remember, this is the experience of a manifestor that's not using their strategy, of not informing those around them. And there can definitely be a lot of resistance there, a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of misunderstandings in the relationships of manifestors if they have not been following their strategy. And remember, this your type is your type. It's part of you no matter what, whether or not you are aware of it or not, of this whole system, which quite frankly, most of the planet is not. And so if you're a manifestor, you could probably see the difference in your life between when you've let people know what you're wanting to do, thinking about doing, or what you feel might be coming, and when you haven't, and when you've just moved into action without considering who it's going to affect, right? Because in those moments when you have maybe felt something coming and you've let those around you know ahead of time, things move a lot easier for you. And that is where the power comes from in a manifestor. When they're not honoring their power, which is that creative initiating force, like I said, it can cause a lot of disruption, a lot of resistance in a manifestor's life. And so a manifestor who truly understands their power is deeply connected to that inspiration, that divine inspiration, and the flow of spirit, really, and that creative energy. And they really understand that they have this unique role of taking that energy into action. And since they're aware of their power, they know it needs to flow freely from them at the right time. They are informing those around them who might be impacted about what's to come and what to expect. And quite possibly that they just need time alone and not to be interrupted. Because when that time is right, when that click happens, and they don't always know when it's going to be, they need the time alone, quite possibly alone, to explore that and see what comes of it. And when they're ready to share that with others, they will. Okay? It'll give some of these others to something to respond to. So basically, a manifestor who's owning their power doesn't allow the judgment of others and what they think about them to hold them back from their power, their creative flow. They just start to understand that they have a different way of interacting in the world than most people, and that they do have this responsibility to give themselves the space and the time to create when it is time. So some questions, if you are a manifestor and you're thinking about this and feeling that you are needing to reclaim your power, one, you've got to start following your strategy. But also you could ask yourself some really important questions about how you personally feel about being powerful. And are you acknowledging your power? And do you feel comfortable being powerful? And looking at those places in your life that maybe you weren't allowed to follow your own flow when you were younger, and how that has shaped the way you interact in the world now. And also to ask yourself, does your fear of your own emotional response, this anger or your suppression of it, stop you from doing what you really want in life? Just some questions to contemplate. Okay, generators. The generator's purpose here is to turn that inspiration into form and to build. Remember, the generators are the builders in the world. They have the work energy, the life force energy, the sacral energy that is always available and is sustainable. So in order to be able to build something, you need mastery. And mastery, especially self-mastery, is a theme for the generators. And so generators have this stair-step learning curve that they gather skills and knowledge, and usually at a certain point, they will plateau. And that means, which a plateau for a generator is when they get this feeling of frustration. They feel stuck, right? If you're a generator, you understand this. When I first heard the themes of frustration or satisfaction on the positive side, it totally resonated with me because I can't tell you how many times I've used the word frustrated. It happens a lot. But so if you imagine this stair-step learning curve, that means that there's going to be a big step up and then there's going to be a plateau. That's the step. And then there's another step up and then a plateau. And so this can feel very frustrating, but what the plateau is all about is this waiting period. And it really means for a generator that they're gathering energy for the next surge of growth or next surge of mastery. Okay. And so it gets misinterpreted in generators as stagnation, right? Frustration, or that they've gone the wrong direction because things no longer seem to be coming to them. And like I said, they feel stuck, and quite often they might quit and do something else. And it's also an indication that whatever learning cycle they were in, that cycle, that part of it has pretty much come to a close. They have mastered that part of it. And so there is a time here, this pause, which as the generator waits to respond to something else, it's going to bring to them either, like I said, the next surge in mastery to keep them on that trajectory, or it might show them another path. Like maybe that thing that they were working on and they were mastering, they've learned all they have to learn from that, and they are waiting for the next thing to show up to show them what direction to go next. So I guess in my case, I can relate this to all the little things I've picked up along the way. Like I said earlier, the skills, the tools, the things that were necessary for me to learn in order to build on this lifelong mastery that I'm working on, which is knowing myself and understanding myself so that I can then use my own understanding, hopefully, to help others understand themselves. And so that meant that it was going to be learning using the tools of body movement through yoga, and also using the mindset tools and the meditation and being able to tap into that inner resource. It meant learning the different energy healing techniques to get an understanding of how energy works in the human system and how that informs and blends with mindset. And so all of these things that I learned, and the yoga, meditation, Reiki, EFT, all these things have become really the building blocks that I needed for what I'm doing now with this work with human design. Because when I was finally looking at human design and deciding, it just clicked, really. When I was ready, it was there for me. I had an inkling that it was that direction many years ago, but when I was finally ready, I had the tools necessary to begin this process of using this tool, this path, in order to create this masterful body of work in my life. So that's what the frustration is for a generator, is feeling that nothing's happening. But I'm here to tell you that what the generator needs to do at that point is to just still wait. I like in the game, like in video games, I've seen my son plays video games, and the avatar or whatever you want to call it is moving all the time, and then they get to that spot where they're waiting for something else to happen, and they're just kind of sitting there bouncing. I know there's a term for that, but forgive me, I don't know what it is. But they're just waiting, and you can feel the energy is there, but you have to wait. And the more that a generator understands that and really trusts that the sacral will respond at the appropriate time for the appropriate things for them, then they are truly stepping into their power as a generator. They are not trying to initiate things. They are not ignoring their sacral response and doing things that is a misuse of their energy. They are just focused on this, really this, I guess you want to call it, life that they want to have, and they're allowing the universe to fill in the blanks for them, basically. So when you reach that plateau, it's not a time to shift directions or quit. It's a time to keep holding the vision for where it is you would like to go, and then trust that you will be shown the way, because you will be. Doesn't always make sense when it shows up, but trust, see what happens, then you'll be led to the next step. So those times of frustration, stagnation are your opportunities to realign and hold the vision for what you truly want. And so when a generator is truly in their power, they are understanding that through this responding and repetition and practice and correction, that they're gaining a deeper understanding of who they are and how they best respond to life, and how they really embody who they are. And that responding and allowing and learning about themselves is how they fulfill their purpose in life. And they have a deep connection to that sacral response. And they learn to trust it and truly let it guide them, and will show them how they will become masters in their lives. So as a generator, if you're feeling frustrated in your life right now, what is it that is causing that frustration? Do you feel that maybe it's a misuse of your energy? Are you trusting your sacral center? And when you do experience frustration, what does it feel like in your body? It's a good thing to think about. How does it feel? Do you feel like something building? Because, honestly, that's what the frustration is. It's like, there's something. The momentum has stopped. So allow it to just sit with you, because there is a certain amount of waiting. And really ask yourself, how do you feel about waiting? Why are you always trying to do? That's that sacral energy. But can you just allow? These are some things for a generator to contemplate. Okay, moving on to the manifesting generators. So this is, I know MGs, they often get the kind of the shorter definition, not definition, but explanation, because we have gone over manifestors and we have gone over the generator type. And we know that a manifesting generator has a little bit of both. So that means they're also going to have the themes of anger, and they're going to have the themes of frustration. And so the manifesting generator is here to take that divine inspiration into form, just like the generator type, because they are essentially generator types that also have a connection of a motor to the throat. So that means that once they've responded, they can immediately get into action. They move faster. They move a lot faster. And there's the need for a manifesting generator to always kind of be doing. They are multitaskers. They're always kind of doing lots of different things. They have their fingers in lots of different projects, because that's really a good use of their energy. So I always like to think of the manifesting generator as kind of like the race car with one foot on the brake and one foot on the accelerator. Like, they're ready to go. And so when the time's right, they will go. So they can feel frustrated, waiting for the time to move, because they have all this energy that's ready to express and to initiate. And so that's why it's a good use of their energy to kind of always be keeping busy, always having lots of things going on. And unfortunately, through conditioning growing up, they may have been told to maybe stick to one thing, finish what they started, that kind of thing. Because a lot of their projects don't get finished. A lot of their actions just are actions that just, they need to keep busy. And so I know you've heard me talk about it a lot. I can see this in my husband a lot. He definitely has lots of little side projects, but generally he has one or two main projects that he works on, but he does have these moments where things just kind of stop for him. And he's not one to just sit around and wait for the next step. He likes to be busy. I'm a generator. I can wait a little easier than he can. Someone might say it's a little more patient than he is, because he's just definitely busy all the time. And it's not manic busyness. It's just action. He's just always doing something. And that's a good use of his energy. Because really that pent up energy, if it's not directed towards something, it can really cause a manifesting generator to burn out. It just kind of short circuits their whole system. So remember, they're here to turn that inspiration to form, but they're also to do it in faster, more efficient ways. And so since they're since their energy allows them to get into action with that connection to the throat, that initiating energy, as you can imagine, when you take your foot off the brake and the accelerator's been pushed, it's fast, right? And this speed can cause them to skip steps and to make mistakes that they then have to go back and correct, which we've talked about this before. But that's part of their process. And so they have to learn to be comfortable with that and to understand that that is the way they are designed. And making mistakes is just a learning experience, because a lot of manifesting generators over time, like I said, if they've kind of held back their power, if they have stopped experimenting and trying new things because they don't want to make mistakes because of conditioning, they've been told to just focus in one direction, do one thing. Why are you always all over the place? Why don't you finish anything you started? They tend to want to be like everybody else and just like, oh, I should just be able to focus and I should be able to just do one thing. And that's disempowering to a manifesting generator. And it's not a good use of their energy. So a powerful manifesting generator is aware that their speed and their power are deeply tied to this sacral response, waiting for something to happen before leaping into action. And that it is their ability and capacity to do many things and to do it quickly that changes the story of what we all believe can be done in time and how it can be done. And they show us really creative new ways to transform and to build. And so they do have a very specific path, just like the manifestor has their way, the generator has their way. Manifesting generator, even though they're quote unquote a blend of the two, they have their own unique way of doing things as well. And so as a manifesting generator, it's good for you to look at how you manage your energy. Are you getting enough physical activity? What does your body actually feel like if you're not doing it, moving enough, right? Because there's a lot of energy in your body. Also asking some of those questions that we ask the manifestor and the generator. How do you manage your frustration? Are you feeling frustrated? What is that frustration about? Have you been experiencing more anger? Does that mean, look at it. Why are you experiencing it? Is it really that other person, or is it maybe a response to you not informing people of what you are planning or thinking about or wanting to do, so that when you do get that click, you get that response and the click, you can go, right? So anyways, how can you also be more gentle and accepting of yourself and your perceived mistakes, right? How can you honor the way your energy works? Just some questions for the manifesting generator. All right, moving on to projectors. Often projectors are the group that feels most disempowered from their initial introduction to the human design information, because they're told that they need to wait for recognition or for invitations. And it leaves a lot of them feeling powerless. I mean, I know a lot of times even when they dig into it a little bit more, projectors start to feel like, well, how am I supposed to do anything in life if I have to wait around for other people to recognize me or invite me into things. I know that a lot of them feel that way, that it's just, well, nobody's ever going to notice me. I'm never going to get the attention that I need. And so they feel that they need to get that attention. They need to initiate, that they need to really work harder, push more than others because they're just not getting the outcomes that they want. They still feel invisible. And that's because a projector is not meant to work with everybody. Not everybody is for them. They have very specific people they're here to work with. And so projectors are incredibly powerful, and they have a very powerful role here. I know we refer to them as the guides, and they are here to manage others, but they're here specifically to guide and manage the energy of the generator types, because being non-sacral beings, the projector does not have their own energy that they're working with as far as when it comes to building and creating, because it's that sacral energy is borrowed, and that's specifically what it's used for. And so they are reliant almost on that force from others to help create. Okay. And so what sets the projector even more apart is that their energy is so unique to the planet. I think that as time goes on, there's going to be more and more projectors that arrive. However, that's sometime in the future, because right now the projectors that are here are basically those that are helping build the new grid, basically. And so they carry within themselves the energy template of what's to come for the rest of us, for all humans, right? And so when we've talked a lot about this new paradigm and this shift in energy and how we create, we are moving into a time where we are consciously and intentionally using our energy to create what we want, not through force and action, not through that, but through intention and feeling and allowing. And they hold the key. They know how it feels. And they're here to help us learn how to do that. So this energy template that they hold is really at work at all times. Because if you think about I feel like they're like the little juncture points in a grid. You know, there's many projectors out there that are spaced out in this grid, this energy grid, that are holding the rest of us in place. And just their energy, their presence is here to kind of help clean and scrub the energy around them, the rest of us, right? So even when they don't seem like they're doing anything, even themselves, they feel like they're not doing anything energetically, they're always interacting in the field, and they're always playing an important role. If you remember, or maybe not if you remember, but I think I've talked about it, projector's energy is more of this outward into the other energy of seeing what is necessary in the rest of us to bring us into alignment, into better utilizing our energy, and also being able to reach our potential. Okay. So like I said, they're not meant to work with everybody, and they have specific people that will recognize them. And those are the people that they are meant to work with. Those are the ones they can help. So especially if you're like a line 5 and you're a projector, there is a definite need to really understand what your own self-worth and your value is, what you need, because you're going to be called out by others to work with them, to help them. So you've got to understand who it is you're here to help. Okay. And so this is key for the projector, in that they need to understand deeply what it is they have to contribute, what their value, what their worth is. if they don't understand their own value and their own worth, like I said, you're going to see a lot of those behaviors of trying to prove themselves, of doing all the work, of initiating, of trying to grab attention. And they start to experience a lot of bitterness. And as a projector, projectors I've worked with or that I know understand this bitterness deeply. It really is this feeling of, why isn't it working? Why is everything so much easier for others? Why am I not getting what I need? Why is it so hard for me? Why does it seem so easy? It becomes this bitterness. And this is a sign for the projector that they need to take stock of what it is they're really doing, how they're interacting in their lives and in the quantum field. Usually it's an indication for a projector that they're doing too much. They're pushing too hard. They don't have the sustainable energy of a generator type because they don't have that sacral definition. And so they can burn out easily. And usually this is an indication that bitterness is a chance for a projector to say, okay, where am I pushing too hard? Am I doing too much? Am I trying to make things happen? And have I been working too much? Have I been doing too much? It's usually an indicator that a projector needs to rest and to restore. And so I have encouraged this a lot in the projectors that I know and work with, that as soon as that starts, and I can see it, a lot of people that I know personally now, I can see it when it's happening, often before they do. This feeling of bitterness, and it's an indication that they need to take stock of what they're doing and how they can maybe pull back. Okay, which is a scary thing for a projector to do, is to pull back because they feel like nobody will ever see them. But really, how their energy is designed to work is to, as they wait and they wait, the others will find them. Now, this waiting, I know I've talked about it before. This is not just idly sitting by. This is doing what a projector needs to do to feel good, to restore. What is it they love? What are they interested in? What is it they want to contribute to the world, and do what they can in their own time to really tap into that piece, really understand their value. And then they just start to become that bright light that others that need them, that are here to really help carry out that vision that they have, those people can then find them. Projectors are incredibly powerful when they are working with the right people, those who have recognized them. I could give you lots of examples of powerful projectors, but one that always stands out to me is Barack Obama. He is a projector, so is his lovely wife, Michelle. But if you understand how he came to be the president of the United States, it almost, it happened, from in retrospect, you could say it happened so fast and it just seemed to come out of nowhere. But he just kept doing his thing. He kept talking about what he wanted to talk about. He kept working on things that were interesting and meaningful to him. And he did attract the people that helped carry out his vision. And he still does that to this day. So I think someone, for projectors to say, I don't feel very powerful, just look at some examples of some powerful projectors out there that have done it and are doing it. And just know that if you tend to your own care and nurture, honor your own value and your worth, you will get the recognition and the invitations that you're looking for. And so the thing to ask yourself now is, if you are experiencing bitterness, what is it trying to tell you? Are you valuing yourself? Do you actually have the energy available to you for the opportunities that you're seeking? Because quite often the opportunities will stop because you don't have the energy. It's waiting for you. You have to restore. And then also think about those times in life that you've received some really great opportunities or invitations, and how did that feel? And really tap into that feeling of how those invitations coming to you in the correct way felt, and focus on that feeling. Okay, so our reflectors, small percentage of the population, just a little 1%, but they have the vital role of being the barometers for the evolution of the planet. They reflect. They are our karmic mirrors. And reflectors, okay, first of all, have no defined centers in their chart, so their chart looks completely white. They have gates, but they don't have any channels, so they just have the undefined centers. And with all this openness, they have this unique ability to really experience the potential of what's possible for humanity, for the rest of us, individually and collectively. They are, because in those areas where you're undefined, you are taking in the energy around you, amplifying and reflecting it back. So the reflector is the reflection of the environment around them. And so the rule for a reflector, is that if you're not feeling good emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever, you are not in the right place, because you are deeply tied to your environment. So if you're not feeling good, it's not the right place, and those are not the right people for you. Reflectors have this deep understanding of what's possible for all of us and what we're capable of, and they can deeply sense and feel the potential that's within all of us. So they can experience disappointment as their emotional theme. They can experience this disappointment in the world around them and with the people around them, because they can see that gap of what we're capable of and what we're actually creating. Like I said, this can be individually or as a whole. And reflectors in relationships tend to merge with others instead of just allowing themselves to be themselves. Because of all this openness, they can be influenced, and they can tend to merge their energy with those they're in relationship. And if the reflector doesn't understand how their energy works, they can struggle to fulfill their own potential or their own needs, because they don't quite understand that they have maybe taken on the needs and wants of those that they're in a relationship with. So then a reflector can experience disappointment in themselves because they have this sense or this feeling or this need for something different and something to make them feel better, but they're more connected to those energies of someone else and not their own direction and their own sense of self. So again, disappointment's a clear signal to a reflector that they may not be with the right people. And that means they're not in the right place, and they might need to actually change their environment. If anything, they need to spend some time alone, away from others, in order to get kind of that sense of themselves, of who they truly are. Another way that a reflector experiences disappointment is by not giving themselves enough time to really feel into their decisions and understand what's right for them. So since they do not have any defined centers, they do not have what the system calls an inner authority, like a splenic authority or having emotional solar plexus or sacral authority. So that means that, one, they are more tied to the moon, and they need to, because the moon is also reflecting, but they need to take their strategy, although it's not a strategy. Yes, it is a strategy. Sorry. Their strategy is to wait a lunar cycle. And that means that as the moon goes through one cycle, 28 days, it moves through all 64 gates in the human design system. And that gives them a chance to experience themselves throughout that whole cycle and know how they feel about certain decisions that they need to make. They also need people that they can trust, that are, just a couple people they need in their lives that are there to listen to them and to allow them to speak and to talk about what it is they are thinking about, contemplating, changes they want to make. So this can be hard for reflectors to learn to make this more lengthy process of decision making, big decisions, mind you, not little ones, just big ones, of finding the right place and the right environment. And they can tend to want to rush the process, and they can jump the gun. And that's where they also can experience disappointment, is because they haven't allowed themselves enough time to really feel into their decisions. And so that is another clear indicator for a reflector when they have gotten off course and may need to tap back into their real power. And their power is when they're aware of the energies around them and the experience and the surroundings, and they feel aligned with the community and the people that they're with. They feel good and at home. They understand the impact of energy on themselves, and they value themselves enough to take the right time in order to take the right actions and do what feels good. And they place themselves in the midst of people and places that feel good to them. And they understand that they can just be themselves. They can literally just be. They don't have to do anything. They can just be. They are the witness, and they know that their reflection of their environment is their power. They also know that they're not here to fix everyone else. They're just here to be the mirror to reflect back to us so that we can work on ourselves. They don't have to fix us. That's our job. So if you're a reflector, maybe ask yourself where you might be feeling disappointed. Are you feeling disappointed? Do you feel that you have to be the one that fixes others, heals others? Or do you give them the space to do that themselves? Have you maybe merged a little too much with those around you? Do you understand who you are and what you need? And do you give yourself enough time to make good choices for you? Okay, so that goes through all 5 types, and understanding how your emotional theme is really there to help guide you into your own power as either a manifestor, generator, manifesting generator, projector, or reflector. Remember, you were designed the way you are in order to reach your highest potential, in order to lead and live a most satisfying life. Remember, suffering is not in the chart. We're not designed to suffer and feel disempowered. We're here to learn about ourselves, learn about each other, and to really step into our power and offer our power, our gifts, our strengths, our talents to those around us, so that we can all together, collectively, evolve, grow, live more satisfying lives. And that's really what we're here for. So I hope this episode today was helpful, and this information was helpful for you. And I hope those questions help you for your type. If you are finding yourself in a place of feeling a little disempowered right now, and you want to tap back into, that feeling of alignment and what's correct for you, then, just think about what's right for you. Then hopefully these contemplations and this information will help you. All right, so that's it for today. Again, thank you for listening. And if you are enjoying the podcast, please, please, please consider giving us a rating on Apple Podcasts, or I guess on Spotify, wherever you listen. I know that the ratings really help get podcasts discovered Reviews help too, but really ratings are what is most important. It lets Apple know that this podcast is holding value for people, and they will help it get pushed up higher and higher so more people can find it. So if you feel so inclined, please do that for me, and please share the podcast with others. It would be really awesome. So I hope you have a wonderful day. I really hope to have an episode out next week, but maybe I'll just give you another meditation or something. It's going to be a crazy week. The wedding is on Saturday, which is 6 days from now, like I said, and I will do my best, but I will do my best. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening. Bye for now. You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.